said, I'm Davin. I'm a rising junior at Lindbergh High School, and I'm doing a robotic hand. So my starter project was the Simon Says game, but I chose this as my intensive project because I like robotics, and this is a really good way for me to, well, further familiarize myself with all the robotic parts. So let me give a quick demo. As you can see, each finger works on its own. Besides the pinky and ring finger, those are together. In addition, I can press this button, and the red light turns on, which means it's recording an autonomous routine. So after 20 seconds, the red light will turn off, and the recording will be done. Yep. So it's turned off, and now I can press it again, and it'll run it on its own.
Oh, wow.
Once the yellow light turns off, the other routine is done. There are also wheels on this, which means it can actually move itself by kind of scooting itself along. So instead of pulling itself, it's actually more effective to push it backwards, and I can get more distance like that. So if I do it a few times, I can show that I get a net movement of it going backwards. All right. So the hand itself works by each finger having a string on the front and a string on, well, fishing line on the front and fishing line on the back. And when the string on the front is pulled, it'll tug the finger down, and when the string on the back is pulled, it'll tug it up. And each side is connected to one side of the servo, so when the servo twists, it'll move it up or down. So for the flex sensors to read how your hand is, flex sensors are what you call a variable resistor, and these, when you put an electrical current through it, it'll change the current based on what position the hand is. So if it is, well, the more it is flexed, the more it'll resist the current, and I can read that and send the value to it. And the way it sends, the values are sent from the Arduino to the Pi, which are both microcontrollers, is this NRF24 module. This is a wireless module that can talk to this between each other. And it is also the source of probably the biggest problem I've had during this entire project. I spent 3 days trying to get the RF module communicating between Arduino to Arduino. And eventually he said, hey, it works with Arduino to Pi, so might as well just do that. And from this, I learned probably the most important thing I got out of this course, which was that when problem solving and you hit something that you can't really solve, and you could probably solve it if you stuck with it for long enough, there's no shame in finding another way around, and if it leads to the same results. So that's it. Any questions?
I know that we can use XPs to communicate between who are using wireless, right? But you use NRF modules. Now, do you know what's the difference between XPs and these NRF modules that you're using?
Not really, but the NRFs are a lot cheaper. So that's really nice for people who want to make this.
How do you make this like rubber hands to remember what kind of move you have?
So, well, within the code I put onto the Arduino, there's I use something called a state machine. So basically, it keeps track of what state it is in, and that's how I help it know what it's doing at each time. And what I have is a pretty simple code. It's just an array that's about, well, doesn't really matter. I slow down the flame rate too, so it takes up less memory since the Arduino is very, well, it doesn't have very much memory on it. And I have just enough memory to record for 20 seconds.
can I use like these two wireless modules to control 2 or 3 hands together just with one module over there on your glove?
What do you mean?
I mean, like if I move my glove, like hand gloves, and if I move my hand, can you control like 2 robotic hands together? Like
Yeah.
that? So it's gonna be multi-channel, right?
Yeah, you could, well, you could set, I think you could set them all to the same radio, but I haven't tested that. If you set them all to all the robotic hands to receive, or to receive.
Do you wanna try that for the future?
Well, if you have any robotic hands lying around.
Okay, sure. What was the inspiration for adding the wheels?
Oh, well, originally I was actually going to have it kind of like stand up, but with the limited range of motions that, like I can't actually move each joint individually. It is just a string, and all of them will move down at once, and all of them will move at once. So having it stand up wasn't really a good option, and I still wanted to make it move, so wheels.